I don't like choosing because I know all the guys, but for me, I seen Mike do some things that I've never seen either other guys do.
What is that?
I mean, Mike used to tell opponents what he was going to do and how he was going to do it. And, you know, the way he did it, he just, you know, he won 6 without a dominant big man, right? Mm-hmm. And, you know, he won.
And, you know, he won 3, left, took a year off, played golf, played baseball, came back and won 3 more. So, I mean, he was just a guy that I grew up watching. So sure, you know, I played with Kobe and played with LeBron, but it had to pick the greatest of all time. My all-time favorite has always been Dr. J. So, you know, Dr. J and guys like Magic and Mike made a great point. He said it's kind of disrespectful to say I'm the GOAT because you forget about the ones that, you know, played before us. And I'm kind of on that same thought process. So like, you know, Wilt and Bill Russell and guys like that, I'm just happy to be mentioned in the same name that they are. Just stop with the scoring highlights and numbers. It's not fair that no one can match Jordan's scoring prowess. It's not fair that he broke all those records during the defensive era of the NBA. It's simply not fair that no one from this weak defensive era can match his scoring output. In all seriousness, we all know how legendary of a scorer he was. That was his biggest strength, but that doesn't mean it was his only strength. Scoring isn't the only reason why many basketball experts believe he's the GOAT. So I'm going to answer the challenge and not mention a single scoring stat for this video. Little do they know this will only make his GOAT case stronger. Let's start with the total opposite of scoring, playing defense. Michael Jordan took that role as seriously as scoring the ball. That's why he was able to obtain so many defensive accolades and records. He is unquestionably one of the greatest perimeter defenders of all time. He has 9 All-NBA Defensive First Team selections. That is an all-time record that he shares with Gary Payton, Kobe Bryant, and Kevin Garnett. Let's move to the steals department. He's 3rd all-time in career steals per game and 4th in career steals. Now, what about blocks? That is a stat that is dominated by centers and forwards. Guards just don't have an impact on that aspect of the game. That's a statement that can't be said about Jordan. He has the most career blocks by any guard ever. Now let's talk about advanced metrics, more specifically defensive win shares. This is another metric that is dominated by big men. In fact, only 3 guards appear in the top 30 for career defensive win shares. Among those players is Michael Jordan. He's 21st all-time and 3rd among all guards. The 2 guards ahead of him are John Stockton, who played 432 more games, and Jason Kidd, who played 319 more games. So let me get this straight. The record 9 All-NBA Defensive First Team selections prove that he's one of the greatest individual defenders, finishing in the top 5 in career steals, and finishing number 1 in blocks among guards confirms that. Then the fact that he's 3rd among guards in career defensive win shares is just a cherry on top. The numbers say that he's one of the most valuable defensive assets a team could ever have. And yet I still don't think this is enough. So let's get some testimonials from players who witness his defensive greatness. Let's start with a former teammate, B.J. Armstrong. He mentioned this to ESPN back in 2020. In my mind, Michael was actually a defensive player who also happened to be an exceptionally talented offensive player. In many ways, he knew the game on that side of the ball better, the way he moved, anticipated, and invented ways to score based on what he saw on the defensive end. He never cheated the process. Then we had what Christian Lettner said to Dan Patrick in 2012-4.
My first impression of Jordan and my lasting impression of Jordan is how much effort he put forth on the defensive end. Michael Jordan was the greatest defender also, and look at the effort Kobe Bryant put forth on the defensive end. And that's where the differences are made. We mentioned the stats and testimonials, but we also have individual accolades that he won. For example, he won the Defensive Player of the Year award in 1988. Recent events have caused many detractors to question if he was truly deserving of winning that award. This hasn't fazed me one bit. Here's what I know. In 1986, when Jordan missed nearly 80% of the season, the Bulls had the worst offensive rating in the league. The following year, they jumped all the way up to 11th. And in 1988, they had the 3rd best defensive rating. Michael Jordan deserves all the credit for that improvement. Here's why. In 1987 and 1988, he led his team in steals and blocks. Let me say that again. A shooting guard was their best rim protector, while also creating easy offense with his steals. He did that for 2 straight seasons. Do you realize how rare it is for a guard to be the team leader in those stats? If they gifted him a few undeserved steals to a stat sheet, who cares? That doesn't change the fact that he was unquestionably the most valuable defensive player. I could stop right here, and you would hear everything you would need to know to debunk such an asinine statement. Michael Jordan was much more than just a great scorer. You could even say that he was just as good of a defender. That's what made him the greatest two-way player of all time. But stopping here would be a disservice to the GOAT because there's so much more to his game that needs to be addressed. For example, he was always considered one of the best all-around players in the league throughout his playing career. We all know what he accomplished on the defensive end. Now let's take a look at the offensive end. We're going to be looking at the 1984/85 season, Jordan's rookie year, to the 1997/98 season, Jordan's last year with the Bulls, during that span. Here is the number of times that a player averaged at least 6 rebounds and 5 assists in a season. The player with the most is Clyde Drexler. He did it 10 times. Next up is Scottie Pippen. He did it 8 times. Third on that list is Michael Jordan. He did it 7 times. He did it as many times as Larry Bird, who also did it 7 times. The next player up is Magic Johnson, who did it 6 times. So if you take away the scoring, Jordan was still contributing in many other ways. Let's keep in mind that the 80 seconds and 90 seconds were different times in the NBA. Positional versatility was not something that existed during that era. Every player had a role. If you were in the front court, your job was to grab rebounds and block shots. If you were the point guard, your job was to facilitate. If you were the shooting guard, there weren't going to be many opportunities to boost your numbers in those categories. Players such as Michael and Clyde Drexler were the exception. They had the necessary skills to excel in everything. If you look at each season of his playing career, he was consistently one of the highest producing rebounders and facilitators for his position. We're talking right out of the gate. In his rookie season, he finished first among shooting guards in rebounds. In 1989, he finished first for his position in assists. In 1993, he was once again first in rebounds. And in 1998, he finished first in rebounds for his position. Don't be fooled by the numbers. The 80 seconds and 90 seconds were a different time. Even with the limited opportunities to contribute in other facets of the game, he still found a way to make an impact in many ways. It was much more difficult to be an all-around player during that time. If he played during this era or the 60s era, his numbers would also be inflated. But if you look closely at his game and the numbers, you'll see how great he was at every aspect of the game. He just also happens to be the greatest scorer and greatest playoff performer. You mix that with his 6-0 finals record, and you'll get the greatest player of all time. But the conversation about Jordan's greatness doesn't end with defense and all-around play. His leadership, competitiveness, and psychological warfare must be considered as well. Teammates and opponents alike speak about how he controlled the mental side of the game. Phil Jackson often said Jordan was the ultimate competitor who demanded accountability not only from himself, but from everyone around him. Horace Grant recalled how Jordan would test teammates in practice, pushing them to breaking points, not out of cruelty, but because he knew pressure revealed character. Those moments built the culture of the Chicago Bulls dynasty. Opponents feared him, not respected, feared. Reggie Miller once admitted that trash-talking Jordan was the biggest mistake of his career because Jordan would take it personally and obliterate you on the court. Gary Payton, one of the greatest defenders ever, confessed that even when he slowed Jordan for a quarter or a half, Jordan would eventually figure him out and dismantle everything. Fear was part of Jordan's arsenal, a weapon as sharp as his fadeaway. Then there's the durability factor. Jordan's conditioning was legendary. In an era with more physical contact, no load management, and brutal travel schedules, Jordan played all 82 games 9 times in his career. He led the league in minutes multiple seasons. And despite taking 2 retirements, he returned both times still as the best player in the league, winning MVP and championships after coming back from baseball and finishing as the league's leading scorer and finals MVP in his age 35 season. Another underrating aspect is clutch performance outside of the finals. Everyone remembers the shot against Cleveland in 1989, but he also dominated countless playoff series before even reaching the finals. Against the Knicks, he averaged over 40 points in a series. Against the Pistons, despite the punishment, he kept coming back stronger until he broke through. His legacy is not just built on 6 finals. It's built on an entire career of never backing down from elimination games, of turning pressure into fuel. Let's also talk about adaptability. Early in his career, Jordan relied on sheer athleticism, explosive drives, acrobatic finishes, relentless fast breaks. But as his body aged, he reinvented himself. The fadeaway jumper became his signature, an unguardable weapon that extended his dominance long past his athletic peak. Few players in history have successfully transformed their game while remaining the best. Jordan did it seamlessly. And then there's the cultural impact. Air Jordan sneakers became the blueprint for athlete branding. The 1992 Dream Team, with Jordan as its face, turned basketball into a global phenomenon, inspiring generations from Europe to Asia. LeBron has influence, yes, but Jordan times created times the model of global basketball celebrity. Finally, combine all of this: defensive dominance, all-around versatility, leadership, fear factor, durability, clutch gene, adaptability, and cultural impact. Even if you erase his scoring titles entirely, Jordan's resume is still unparalleled. And when you put the scoring back in, the argument isn't even close. This is why when people try to diminish his case by saying he was just a scorer, they miss the entire picture. Jordan was the complete package, the most complete package basketball has ever seen. He wasn't just great at scoring, he was great at everything. And that's why whether you use numbers, testimonials, eye test, or cultural legacy, the conclusion remains the same. Michael Jordan is, and always will be, the GOAT. Let's also address the constant comparisons to LeBron James. Critics often use longevity as LeBron's biggest advantage. Yes, he has played longer, accumulated more counting stats, and passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar on the all-time scoring list. But longevity does not equal peak dominance. Michael Jordan's peak was higher, sharper, and more absolute than any players in history. 6 finals appearances, 6 championships, 6 finals MVPs, no failures on the biggest stage.